All right. Well, hello. Hi, yeah. I am Clint Runge, creative director, co-founder of Arch Rival, youth marketing agency. I gotta tell you what, I am so excited to be here. I mean, the time is now for Lincoln. You see all the cool things that are happening in our city? I mean, this is just a few of them, right? We have the new arena that's going up, we got all this stuff that's going on and building downtown. Innovation Campus is getting ready to turn the corner. That's amazing that Innovation Campus is gonna happen. UNL's moved to the Big Ten. We caught wind of what's going on in the young entrepreneur community. There's so many brilliant ideas that are bubbling up to the top right now. And I've been here for about 15 years or so. And I'll tell you what, it seemed like earlier on, all those ideas used to leave our state, right? People would come up with great ideas, and then they would be shipped off somewhere else. I'm starting to see those people stick around. I'm starting to see that there's a real vibe and a real energy that's going on in the young community and in the creative class. I think it's awesome. Our time is now for Lincoln. So when we got started with this project, and you can watch the screens over here, we basically started doing, had done some pretty amazing research, and we started realizing that, because the time is now in Lincoln, we need to do something with that. I'll give you a little background here first of what we're doing before I show you everything. So I want to tell you that our audience is probably not you. Yeah. Our audience is actually going to be driven towards the next generation. Now, that might be a bummer for some of you, but I'll tell you what, you get to be a part of this because you guys are driving all of this. So, be excited for that. But when you're thinking about a brand for a city, you think about the future, right? You think about the next 10 years, next 20 years, okay? So we're aiming this at university students, the young professionals, and the creative class, the people who are here. That's really who we're talking to. Now, that being said, when we develop a brand, the city of Lincoln's a pretty diverse community. We got a lot of different types of people. So, things we're going to develop aren't going to, offend anybody or not include someone, but it's definitely going to be geared a little bit younger. Yeah. So, in some ways, it may make you a little uncomfortable, and I think that's okay. I think it's good for you. All right. So some of the things that we found, of course, Lincoln loves their city, right? Such a sense of pride and appreciation. People are starting to say, this is a place that I can actually call home. And I think really for the first time with the great businesses that we have here now, there's actually some great career opportunity too. So, all this stuff gets me super pumped. There's some numbers that they found. 82% said they were very satisfied or satisfied with Lincoln as a place to live. Man, I can't imagine getting 82% of anyone to agree on very much, right? I mean, that's a great number. That's a huge stat, okay? I also like the bottom number. 70% said they don't plan on moving if they can keep a job here. That's pretty great as well. And since we have such a great robust economy, this bodes really well for us. Oh man, so many things are happening right now. I'll tell you what do we want people to know about Lincoln, right? So at the end of the day, we thought we could wordsmith something very clever, what do we want to tell people? But really, that didn't seem like us. So we just had 3 simple words. We want to make sure that when we're done with this effort, right? When we're going through this, we want people to know 3 things. You can be successful in Lincoln, you can be comfortable in Lincoln, and you can have fun in Lincoln. And all 3 of those are true, right? I mean, this isn't crap. This is real. You can be successful, comfortable, and have fun. There's not a lot of places that's true, right? Now, this is true, of course. We know that because we live here. But there's so many great reasons. Low cost of living. We have clean air and a clean city, low unemployment. We have grounded people. We have buzzing entrepreneurism. There's short commutes. Our amazing parks and trail systems. I mean, the list goes on. You know this. But I'll tell you what, not a lot of people do. Yeah. So we got to make sure they know that. All this stuff sort of adds up to this mantra that we kind of started marching to. Their beat was that life is right in Lincoln. It just felt good, right? All things considered, life is right in Lincoln. Now, this isn't like a tagline or a headline or anything, but this is just sort of the feeling that we got from all the research, that life felt pretty good. Life is right in Lincoln. And that really set the groundwork then for developing a new brand. I'll tell you what, we've worked with quite a few companies, and we've done quite a few brands, but we've never branded a city before. I didn't even know how to go about it. How do you brand a city? That seems mind-blowing. There's so much. There's so many things. There's so many things going on. So many people to please. I was like, I don't even know if we can take this on. Doing a brand for a city seems like a pretty difficult task, if you ask me. But we started. We sat down and said, okay, here's our brand. Here's the city of Lincoln. What do we know is true? Well, let's see. A brand for the city is really made up of three things. It's the people, it's the places, it's the things they do there, it's the events. We start thinking about those things. Now think about anywhere you've ever been, right? Your first impression, your brand of that city is the people, the places, and the things they do. Yeah. So if you think about Denver, right, you're thinking about, oh, it's the mountains, and there's really outdoors people there, right? You can think about San Francisco or Seattle, New York or Miami. Every one of those cities I mentioned, something pops in your head. There's an image, there's a brand, there's a feeling that comes along with that, okay? Most likely, it's not really a graphic. Most likely, it's the embodiment of the people, places, and the things that happen there. Well, when we start thinking about how does that actually take form, what's the real execution of that? Well, the brand shows itself in many things. It shows itself through the architecture of a city. You know, how does a city choose to look? What does buildings look like? It's a pretty big deal. Yeah. We start thinking it's the urban planning. How do people transport themselves around a city? That's a big deal. You know, what kind of businesses are located there? And the biggest businesses really have an influence on the brand of that city. Yeah. It's the communications. It's how do you look online, right? When I Google you, what comes up? That's a brand of the city. It's the organizations that are there. It's the government policies. Do you keep the bars open till 2 a.m., right? These are the kinds of things that set the brand. That's the real brand. Well, I put a little ring up there around it. You can see there's one little area there in the right-hand corner called visual ID, right? Visual identity or visual identity. That's really what we were asked to do. As we realized, we're like, but at the end of the day, like, that seems like a pretty small piece of the puzzle. So yeah, we could probably create a cool looking logo or something for the city. But I gotta be honest with you, I don't think it's gonna do very much. Yeah, we could put up a logo, put it on a billboard and show people, but really, it's just one piece. It really takes all those things. And so our branding effort started to click a little differently. We realized that if we're really gonna do this, we're really gonna have impact and really capture the time of Lincoln now, then we gotta be thinking about all those things. Yeah. And so that's where we set out. All right, so when we started thinking about a brand, I'm gonna jump over here. When we started thinking about a new brand for the city, we started thinking about what a great identification would be like for this. And so here's our new identity. You know, the city of Lincoln actually in the last few years has had, I think, something like 4 logos. I think it's actually in the last 10 years we had 4 different logos. You can't get away with that. That's not gonna last. So we realized that whatever we created had to not be trendy or recent or cool right now. It has to actually be somewhat classic, like it has to endure. It has to last the next 10 to 20 years, you know? So we can't be changing it every 2 years and putting it on the side of trucks. So we created something really solid, bold typeface here. It's strong and it's simple. I love looking at this. This is sort of a little ID piece. If you look at this, the arrow. There's sort of an arrow moving up and to the right. It's moving to the right because we're moving forward. It's moving up because we're very positive about that. I love even looking at like the 3 lines here. It's sort of like the people and the places and the things they do kind of all coming together. Or maybe you want to think about it as being comfortable and successful and having fun. All those things kind of merging together. And you know what? There's this little point that's right there where the L and the arrow meet. There's such energy in this, right? It's like the smallest little piece of this logo, and yet it's like the biggest thing in the world to me. Because that's where we are. We're like on the cusp. We're like hanging off the edge right now. It's like we can decide to go forward or not, and we're like hanging in the balance, and this perfectly matches that. Yeah. You ever heard we're called the Star City at times? Yeah, you've heard that, right? We call ourselves the Star City. I think this is our new star, right? It's got 5 points on it. I'd love to see this thing on top of a really huge Christmas tree. Like this could be our new star. Yeah. So I get pretty excited about it. Working with our design director, Joel, he's here somewhere. We started thinking about how do we start taking this into the next round? How do you start visualizing what this new logo and identification could look like? And we got pretty excited about it. Yeah. We realized we can actually have pretty fun with this. It can actually embody the spirit of Lincoln pretty well. We started imagining, what if we wrapped buses with this thing, right? What if we wrapped it up and I might actually take the bus. Like, I think it's pretty great. Yeah. So, we started going through this whole process and just mocking all these things up and imagining it. I think that it's strong, it's simple, and yet, it's got this real artistic flair to it. Looking at this, I just feel like it's exciting, it's thrilling, it feels like it has potential, just like Lincoln. So, we liked where that was headed, but I'll tell you what, that sometimes when we're working on a brand, I like to just step back and go, all right, all that being said, is it cool enough to put on a t-shirt that people will wear? Can I just dumb it down to that? Will people wear this t-shirt or not? And I think they will. Yeah, we showed this to some people, they threw the t-shirt on, so we feel pretty good about that. It passed the sort of intellectual test, but also passed it sort of our idiot test, it's got to do both. We think that it works. All right, I want to tell you though that this new brand, even though the chamber is funding this and pushing it forward, they're pretty forward thinking about this. It isn't the chamber's brand. It's not our rival's brand. It's not Bailey's brand. It's not anyone's brand. It's the city of Lincoln's brand. Okay, and if that's going to be true, then we need to be able to share the ownership of that. We need to be able to bear the responsibility of this onto you as well. Okay? So we started thinking about a system. How can we start to make sure that this is purposeful for you as well? And we can give you access to this. So we start thinking about, well, let's say that you're a neighborhood and you want to get people to move into your community. Maybe you could do a Live Lincoln campaign. Maybe you're trying to recruit people from out of state, right? You could do a Work Lincoln type of campaign. Or maybe you're a children's museum. You want to do a Play Lincoln campaign. Or you want to get a bunch of restaurants together and do a Dine Lincoln campaign. Or you're the bike system and you want to do Ride Lincoln. Or you're a group of businesses. You want to do a Shop Lincoln. All the downtown businesses get together and do a Shop Lincoln. You can imagine that sort of coming together. We realized that we could do all these little things. You could do anything. You do a fencing people, right? You can do a Fence Lincoln, You can do anything you want. So you're gonna have access to this brand. We're gonna give you the ability to access this and integrate it into anything that you're doing, right? Whatever makes sense for you, you can do. Yeah. Now, as we were sort of going through this, we realized that there's a lot of exciting pieces of the puzzle. We got excited that the mayor's staff was on board, the mayor, and we realized that this can really become the identity for not just sort of an advertising campaign, but truly can be integrated into everything we do. And so we started looking at ways that the identity can start to live in different ways. So there's a City of Lincoln identity. Colors became really important to us, even though that's sort of like off-red. We think that, if you think of any color of Lincoln, because of the great influence of the university, it probably does have a little bit of a red direction. That's the sort of the homer, that's the home run piece of it. But we want to make sure that we're not limited to that, because of course if you're going to take this campaign, you want to be able to complement whatever you're doing as well. So we developed a whole wide system of different colors that you could integrate in them, right? And we think that all of these will work together. So someone can use the purple version and someone can use the green version, and it's fine. They're all going to work together. So even though that we can still be diverse in our usage, ultimately we're still sending the same message and still working together. So pretty excited about that. A two-dimensional logo is something, but we started wondering, can this identity go 3 dimensions? And we started playing around. Here's a park bench concept. We showed this to the Parks and Rec. They got pretty excited about it. Just extruding that logo, and you can imagine someone sitting on that bench. Yeah, we think that it's got a lot of potential. We started thinking also about public spaces, and imagining if you created a giant sculpture, right? And so this is a mock-up of a potential plaza space of some kind. You can imagine that there's this big identity hanging there, and it could become a fountain. And even looking at how, this is sort of looking down on a potential sidewalk space, even how the identity can start to influence direction, right? And different spaces within that. Show this to a few the architects and developers in town. They got pretty excited about this. We're giving them access to this. Anywhere that, all the projects that are happening in Lincoln, anywhere where it makes sense for them to integrate the brand into their projects, they're empowered to do it. I want you to do it, wherever it makes sense. Yeah. So we think that the brand has a lot of potential in that direction too. I mean, it could be something as simple as this, right? You could just build a bike rack and do a Bike Lincoln, and you build all your bike racks like this. Something simple like this. Someone not from our city driving downtown and sees a bunch of bike racks like this alone could make them go, wow, Lincoln's a different place. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And something as simple as that. Okay, well, we think we got a lot more than just that. I'm going to play for you a video that kind of captures what we think is all the excitement that's going on right now. It is time to let the world out. This gives me goosebumps. You know, that really captures for me just all the exciting things that are about ready to launch. You know, but before I get into all the great things we're going to do, I got to tell you that I think we're going about it the right way. We thought this through. You know, in order to do this right, you need dedicated staff. You need someone driving this. The chamber has graciously taken on some of this responsibility, essentially create dedicated staff to making sure that this brand is more than just a logo on a billboard, but truly going to be integrated and available to you. Yeah. I think it's important. You know, I like putting up this screen because you can start to see, you know, it's critical that this brand is supported by everybody in Lincoln. It's critical that the biggest banks in town say, yes, we love this brand, we're going to support it. It's critical that the mayor's office says, yeah, we're behind this. It's critical that the university says, absolutely, we need this, right? The Lead Center, the biggest developers in town, the biggest churches in town, the biggest community organizations, the biggest events, right? All these people, the Journal Star, the Parks and Rec, all of them, it's critical they're all on the same page. And I'll tell you what, if we can connect all these people together to work together, well, that's pretty powerful. Because right now we're all operating on our own. We're all doing our own thing. We're all saying we wish Lincoln would unite. Now's our chance. Yeah. By the way, if your logo's up here, when he told me you're supposed to give money or something, was that? So I don't know what that means exactly, but see Wendy afterwards. So, you know, because of that then, because we're going to work together, you might be saying, well, how exactly are we paying for all this? I'm going to show you a bunch of great ideas here in a moment. We think we're pretty excited about. How do you pay for it? Like, okay, where's actually meet the road, right? I want to tell you that the Chamber's taken on a lot of this. Yeah. And of course, many of you are Chamber members here, so you get that. But there's a ton of opportunities for other businesses and other organizations to be a part of this. Yeah. So I'm going to show you a whole wide range of different ideas and ways that you might think and go, you know what, that idea, that makes a lot of sense for us because it involves the kind of things that we're passionate about. We should be a part of that. And we hope that when I'm showing you all this, you look for those things, all right? If you find something like that, you're like, that really fits. We love this. This fits us. We want to be a part of this. See Wendy. All right, so the first part of this, and I sort of alluded to this, that, you know, what do we look like online? Any millennial, if you tried to hire someone from out of state, you know they Googled you, right? Right? I mean, you know, they were like, I don't know, Lincoln, Nebraska, let me just see what's going on there. And they Googled you. And I want to tell you that I actually Googled Nebraska first. I just said, okay, let me pull up the state of Nebraska. Now, these are some of the top hits. I removed all the maps because you know what the state looks like. But everything else, all the photos, when I Googled Nebraska, this is the imagery that comes up with us. Now, I should tell you, I'm really proud of our agricultural heritage. Like, that's Nebraska, okay? There's a lot of great things that come from that, right? Our work ethic, right? Our value system, you know? All that stuff stems from this sort of, and our good-natured, all kind of stems from this agricultural heritage. So that's good. We should not be ashamed of that. But I'll tell you what, there was nothing balancing this. There's nothing on the other half, right? These were the Google images. And if I was someone, you know, from Chicago or, you know, Detroit looking in and trying to move here, I don't know, guys. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not buying it, you know? Even if you're sitting there telling me, no, Lincoln's cool, you should come, it's great. I'm like, I think you're in a cornfield, you know? Like, I even Googled, then I did Lincoln, Nebraska. This is our first hit website. This is the top one, there's a top search result right here. You go to the website, this is what you get. Now, you know, not to bang on who's ever behind this, but, you know, I just want to say, this probably isn't doing us justice, right? It ain't gonna cut it, all right? So we need to start changing things. And, you know, that's why we're here today, because the energy is there to start to do it. So these things exist right now. By the way, I did some imagery searches too, just so you know. Number 3 was this amazing view of Lincoln. Wow, looks like a lot of stuff's going on. That's the third image. 24 makes me laugh. I'm like, okay, what is that? Is that a concrete park or something you guys have? Like, what are you doing there? I'm super excited that's being renovated. Okay, the first hotel you get to, the first hotel image, is the Super 8 out in West O. Yeah, where's the Cornhusker? What are we doing? That's the best we got. You know, I'm a student. I want to look up and see what kind of hotels are available. This might be the first, you know, visual I get. Not going to work for us, okay? So our work's cut out for us, is what I'm saying. We got some work to do on the communication platforms for Lincoln. And this is how we're going to attack it, all right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have this branded site called lifeisright.com. And on this site is going to be that video I just showed you. It's going to have some opportunities where you can input, where all the citizens here can input why they think life is right in Lincoln. Yeah? It's going to have the embodiment of the brand. And all the things that we're going to do as a city, the things I'm going to show you in just a moment, are all going to be captured and live right here, lifeisright.com. It's our branded site. Okay? What we want to do is get this one way up those search engines. We want to be one of the first things that people hit. Now, I talked about people, places, and the things they do. We're going to do a people. We're going to use our Facebook page. It's already got like 30,000 people. Eric Dinger has been running that for a while and has been doing a great job. We're gonna give that some robust energy. There's a lot of exciting ideas about what we could do with our Facebook page. It's definitely where everyone's connecting these days. And Lincoln, Nebraska, I'll tell you, every millennial is going to check you out on your Facebook page as well. We're going to go, let's see what's going on in Lincoln. Let's see what people say. We're going to pull you up and see what's going on there. We got to be right for that moment. We got to be there, ready for them to check us out. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to do some things on the Facebook page. The places, the LincolnChamberOfCommerce.com, LCOC, they're excited. They're going to take on sort of this idea of the places, all the great businesses, all the great locations in town, the neighborhoods in town. You're going to find all that information, really rich information and rich stories going to be able to be found right there. And lastly, at Lincoln.org, we're going to create an events place. Okay. Now, I don't know if it's like if you're like me. I've tried figuring out sometimes what's going on a Saturday night in town. It's difficult. It's hard. Like I can't figure it out. Of course, the Journal-Star has some, and a site over here has some, and they don't always align. And I'm not sure what's actually going to be fun and cool and what isn't. It's really hard to guess. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create an events calendar that truly says, here's what's going on in Lincoln. And guess what? You guys all have access to it. Your things that you're doing, all the best events, you're going to be able to put them there, right? To show it off. Okay? Now, that dedicated staff person is going to need a filter for all this, so the party down at 32nd and T Street isn't going to make it up here, right? But the best events and the best parties are going to be there, all right? Okay, so I want to say also that these sites aren't individual, right? So the information that we put on the branded site is going to carry over to the event calendar, and the places are going to connect into people. All the events we're doing is going to show up on Facebook. These are going to be interconnected. They're just different ways of accessing all the same information. For the first time, we're going to have a suite of 4 sites that we can put out there and say, this is what Lincoln's about. By the way, all the other sites, like the YPG site, Young Professionals Group site, and all those things, they're all going to get a facelift too. Like they're all going to come together with this, all right? So we'll be speaking in one visual language together for the first time. We can start to change some of those search results. Now, this is a quick snapshot. This is launching day. This is lifeisright.com. It'll end up looking something like this. I'm not sure what the final version was like. But I just wanted to kind of give you a glimpse of how this starts to take life. There'll be an area where you can actually input your information. So it says life is right in Lincoln because. I want to encourage you that after this, sometime today, I want you to go there. I want you to fill it out. Why do you think life is right in Lincoln? It's going to be different for all of us. We want to put all that there. Okay? It's going to start to populate all this, and we're going to have all sorts of different reasons why life is right in Lincoln. And eventually, we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to use that information. We're going to share that information of what people are saying. So I'd encourage you to do that. Now, the rest of the sites are all going to launch sometime in the next third quarter and fourth quarter. We kind of have a rollout plan. They're all going to kind of roll out together one at a time. It'll be pretty great. Okay, I do want to tell you about this. This is probably the most important thing. So the sites are awesome, that's great, but it's really not the first screen, right? This is the first screen. Anyone knows, right? This is the very first screen that you check. You have this in your pocket everywhere you go. Your smartphone is like your best friend, okay? For millennials, in fact, they sleep with this thing. A lot of millennials fall asleep with this next to their pillow. It's the last thing they check at night before they go to bed, and it's the first thing they check in the morning, okay? Well, that's pretty powerful stuff, right? So we need Lincoln to be a part of this. We're going to create a Lincoln app, okay? And this Lincoln app is going to rival anything you see in a major city. We've checked them all out. We've seen what Denver's doing. We've seen what New York has going on. We're going to do something that's just as good. There will be no city our size that has the type of app that we're going to have, the ability to share that information, right? Because no other city our size is going to be as organized as well as we are about it. Yeah. And the university, when they're out there trying to recruit a new student, they're sitting there, in the home, up in a coffee shop up in Chicago, and the student says to them, I don't know about Lincoln. What's really going on there right now? Is the weekend very much fun? Maybe I'll pull this thing out and go, actually, here's what's going on right now. The power of that is going to be amazing. You're going to be able to do the same thing if you're trying to recruit people. Do the same thing if you're trying to keep people. all right? So I'm really excited about this Lincoln mobile app. I think it's going to be a big deal for us. Now, we're not going to stop with just Facebook. We are thinking through all the other properties. We're going to have some Foursquare stuff, some Pinterest stuff, and some Instagram stuff. If you're familiar with any of these social networks, I want to encourage you that this sort of idea of social tourism is on you. We need you to leave incredibly great tips on Foursquare about your favorite restaurants and your the favorite places you like to hang out. We need great photos to rise to the top on Pinterest about what Lincoln is really like, okay? So take out Instagram and start capturing Lincoln and documenting it. All that stuff will percolate. We need everyone kind of doing that together. All right, so I want to jump back now to, I want to jump to this. This is the world that we live in. This is youth culture, right? It's this incredible, maniacal bunch of noise. And it is so hard to get through it, right? It is so hard to create a brand that's actually going to stick out from this. I mean, there's some money being put into this, but not that kind of money. How do you actually get the attention and capture the spirit of what we're doing here when it's going to be drowned out by all the other things that are going on, okay? Well, we realized that we couldn't do the logo on the billboard. We had to do something more than that. So this is taken from the research. It's a quote. It says, the real value in Lincoln is the people that are here and what they're doing. The best advertisement for someone coming here to Lincoln or thinking of moving here is to introduce them either physically or virtually to our people. I think this is really true, right? Most anyone that said, when I say I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, they don't really get that until they come here and visit. And after a weekend here, they get it. They're like, wow, Lincoln is one of the coolest places I've ever been to. You had that same experience? Yeah? You had family or friends kind of razz you and say, what are you doing in Lincoln? Come on, You say, invite them out, show them, and then their opinions change. So we realized that as we go into this branding effort, the real goal is to get people here. We got to somehow convince them to come here and show them that life is right. And so, getting that person who's outside the circle, getting to see through all the architecture, see through everything, and make it all the way to the center of that brand. That's what we're trying to do. We're going to do that in a couple ways. The first thing we're going to do is by sort of arming ourselves on the outside of this ring. Now, Lincoln's a cool place to be, but we got a lot of work to do too, right? And what we need are more advocates. We need more people marching to the drumbeat of life is right. We need people out there sharing this. And so the first thing we're going to do is build that pride. We're going to do some pretty cool things in Lincoln. They're going to give you the opportunity to show people what Lincoln's about. Those are the ideas I'm going to share with you in just a moment. After that, we're going to give you the ability and the tools to share that really easily as well. Both of these are critical pieces. All right, so let's get into the ideas. This is what pumps me up the most. Let's talk about the building pride ideas first. Have you ever gotten a parking ticket? You ever got a parking ticket? It sucks. It sucks getting a parking ticket, right? It is so bad. And it's amazing what the $10, or if you're like me, I don't pay it right away, and it's like $25 suddenly, like the next week. Like, that's about. Okay, whatever. Getting a parking ticket for like the 10 or 20 bucks is so frustrating. Okay, like, can we just do something about that? Can we turn this on its end? We're going to do something called a free ticket day. And a free ticket day is going to be this random day where suddenly every ticket's been paid for. Yeah, maybe a local business has picked up the tab for the day. It's going to end up being like $2,500 or $5,000 is all. Okay, but the amount of relief that's going to go on there? And you're like, what? I got a ticket, that sucks. And they're going to pull that open. And they're going to say, what? My ticket was paid for today. It was paid for by somebody. That's awesome. And the first thing they're going to do is they're going to tell all their friends, hey, by the way, parking's free today. Park wherever the heck you want, right? And that's great. The buzz is going to spread. And pretty soon people are just going to be parking here and parking there. And you know what? Let them get away with it for a day. Who cares? Like, let them park all over the place. Let them come down and decide to go out to dinner here in downtown. Let them come down and do that. And ultimately, by the time that it ends, like at 6 or 7, right? By the time that's over, before we pay too much, the buzz will have been spread. Now, I want to tell you, that's just one idea. And one idea alone isn't enough. So let's go on to another one. Okay, have you seen these things happening in major cities? It's like the new graffiti. People are sort of creating these city signs and posting them up as though they look like real city signs, but they're not. Yeah, I love the one here on the right that says, we are all screwed. 9 out of 10 doctors agree. I love it, because it looks so pro. I look at it, I'm like, oh, it must be a medical thing here? And I'm like, oh yeah, everyone's screwed. Okay, all right, definitely a medical condition there. All right, so, what we want to do is we want to do something like this. We want to create this thing called seasonal signage. And we're going to weave in to the fabric of our downtown signs that are just there for fun. that don't have any real purpose other than to make people smile. And I'll tell you what, when you see one, you're going to look for the next one. Okay? They find the next one, they're going to look for the next one after that. And pretty soon, people are going to be exploring for these things. Right? We want to put these all over the city. We want to do them around major holidays. So imagine Mother's Day, for example, and around the university, we do a whole bunch of call your mom type of things. And they look really official, like government says, call your mom on Mother's Day, right? Like the tongue-in-cheek nature of this is going to be great. All right? So we could do it around 4th of July or the holiday season. That's my keep on prancing idea there. Okay? Now, we're going to do this around the 4th of July. This one coming up. All right? So these signs are going to go up. Now, I don't know exactly which ones made the final cut. I'm just showing a bunch of concepts here, but I love it. It's like, I like that boom boom pow. You know? Like, that's just funny. You're not laughing, but it's funny. Trust me, it's funny. Okay? You know, reserve for Paul Revere, land of the we, home of the yay, you know, things like that. We're going to put these up all over. I'm not showing you all of them because I want you to go find a few of our favorites I masked out. So this is happening. Okay? This is going to happen. We're going to put these up. It's 4th of July, so look for it. Okay? You guys are in the know on this first. All right. Now, I got to tell you about these guys. The guy on the left is, he holds a world record, okay, for the structure with the most Lincoln logs in it, right? And it's like 10,000 logs of them. The guy on the right holds a world record for the tallest structure, and I think it's like 10 feet made out of Lincoln logs, okay? Neither of those really overwhelm me. I mean, it's not really impressive for a world record, so we're going to break them. Lincoln's going to own the Lincoln log world records. Like, if anyone should own them, we should really own them, right? So we're going to get the children, we're going to maybe do this at the Children's Museum. We're going to bring all the families down, the kids. We're going to break a couple records. And we're going to video this, we're going to create content out of it, and be able to share all these things. It's sort of one small way of just sort of saying that we've come together to achieve great things, right? The Lincoln Adventures, you ever read the Da Vinci Code, right? Or maybe you've seen The Amazing Race, you're a fan of that show, or you've seen the National Treasure movies. I hate Nicolas Cage, but the movies are all right, okay? So I still watch them. Okay, there's something, when I watch that, I started looking at it and saying, you know, there's something exciting about that. They're exploring the city in a way that is pretty cool, right? It's a type of tourism. We want to create the Lincoln Adventures, which is going to be the idea of creating mysteries and adventures that people can take around Lincoln. Yeah, that will send you from one destination to the other destination, to the biggest and best businesses, right, to the smallest, coolest, out of the way places, right? It will be an adventure that takes you all around. Now, these adventures, of course, are going to be the kind of thing that a family could do on a day. It could be a great date for a young couple, or it could be something that a business or an organization like yourself wants to do, sort of a bonding thing, sort of a come together type of thing. It could be the type of thing you guys come together and try to solve one of these mysteries. All right, during the Christmas holiday season, how many of you drive around and look at what people have done to their houses, right? Yeah, oh, great, 2 people. But now that I've told you about it, more people will. Great, okay. So when we drive around and look at these things, people have sort of made these sort of music shows and light festivals with their house, right? You listen to an FM station. It blows my mind of like what one dad dude kind of did over the weekend. Like, you kind of put all this stuff together and is pretty excited about it. Okay, if like, you know, one family can put that together, you know what the city can do? Yeah, we can do a lot better than that. Oh, we want the city to pull off something that no other city has ever done. A light show, right, during the holiday season that's really worth coming to. Yeah. Now, this is going to go beyond the 12 days of Christmas things that happen down O Street that I can only find like 8 of. Like, I was like, where are the other 4? There's 4 more. Okay? This is going to take that and blow it out of the water. We're going to do something really big. Right? Now, I'd love to do this around the Capitol because I think it can be seen from all over the place, but not required. This could be done in Love Library. It could be done in one of your buildings, in fact. Right? Where we do this, I don't know yet. We need someone to offer and volunteer for it. Okay? All right. So this next idea I'm going to tell you about is Life is Right. And you ever heard of like surprise and delight? Okay? If you haven't heard of this sort of concept, it might be best shown through this example from Morton's. If you're familiar with Morton's Steakhouse, there was a guy who was getting on the plane and said he was super hungry, right? Hadn't eaten in a long time, and was taking this really long flight and sort of complained about it online. Morton saw this because they were connected socially and saw what was going on and was there when the plane arrived and met him there and gave him the steak. Okay? Now, that's a pretty cool thing for them to do. They're seeing a problem that's existing and they're reacting to it. This steak then, right? Then, so he documented what happened with the steak. And basically, it spread pretty viral pretty quickly. Yeah, when it was all done, when someone said, that was a pretty cool thing, check out what Morton's did. That was pretty cool. What my friend said Morton's did, right? After that sort of spread, about 9 million potential views were out there over the cost of like $275. Okay? That's a great ROI. Yeah. So we want the city of Lincoln to do that. You ever gone out and see what people are saying about us on Twitter? You'll see things like, sales meeting in Lincoln. Boring. Okay? Well, we want to be there and capture that. We want to take that, the person who was a disadvocate, and make them an advocate. So we're going to staff a team around this. And I hope next year when we're talking about what we've done, I can look and say, hey, here's a couple of really great stories. People who didn't believe about Lincoln, and they have changed their mind. All right, the Hear Lincoln concerts is this idea that we have such great music in the city, so many great bands. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those bands, and during Friday lunches all summer, we're going to put them on the corner down 13th and L. Okay? And these are going to be bands that are going to fill downtown with music. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. I'm not talking about like the guy who's like with the washboard. Like, it's not that band, okay? I'm talking about really good bands, bands that people pay money to go see, okay? This is actually happening. It's going to start tomorrow. Yeah, our first band is going to start playing tomorrow. So there's going to be a whole concert series called Hear Lincoln. And the Chamber of Commerce is involved. Here, Nebraska is involved in this as well, okay? And all of them are going to work together to pull these off. All right, Office Olympics. All right, you've probably heard of Office Olympics before, like where you get in like the chair races and start to push each other around and race for it. That happens like within offices. I think it should happen across the whole city. Yeah, we want to create an Office Olympics that goes on during the Olympics this year, right? We're going to do one that sort of connects everybody. Parks and Rec are pretty excited about it. We've got to figure out how to make it happen. But essentially, field the team. Bring your team. Bring your best. You'll have things like chair races and shooting rubber bands into coffee mugs. All those sort of like great office games. We'll all be there. So imagine we even have I'd like to see us do like a torch and a march down the Capitol or something like that. And where we all headed, all these teams are going to the Office Olympics. All right. So every once in a while, we come up with an idea that people say, well, you can't do that. You can't do that. But you can't do that. This is one of those. Yeah, we can. Yeah. So the idea is that we wanted to do a zip line. We thought, let's do something that people will just look at and go, that's going on in Lincoln. Right now, when you have friends or family from Lincoln, where do you take them? They're like, what's that one thing? You're like, what we got to do? I think right now it's like, we got to go to Laszlo's. I think that's about it, right? It's like, I don't know, what else do you do? Like, that's what I do when my friends come to town. I'm like, wait, I guess we go to Laszlo's? Yeah, okay. I love Laszlo's. But, we need something else. We need something else. I don't know if the zip line's the right thing, but I want something that's out there. And we've been talking about this. I don't know if this will happen. Maybe it's a giant swing, or maybe it's something else we haven't come up with yet. But we need to do something that drives people to say, wow, I cannot believe the city did that. Cannot believe the city did that. So I don't know what it is yet, but we're going to figure it out. All right, so this is the skyline of Lincoln, all right? So this is our skyline. And I don't know, maybe you're like me, but what the hell is that? That's like, what is that thing? It's so identifiable as Lincoln, Nebraska. And I'm like, but no one knows exactly what that is. Okay, well, we did a little looking into it. It's the Windstream Tower, and it is used, kind of, and so it's got some purpose, but it seems like a really big tower for what's being used. And from what I understand, it's really expensive to try to take down. So, we're somewhat stuck with it. So here's the idea. Let's change it from an eyesore to something awesome. Yeah. Let's put our star at the top of the Star City. Let's put it up there, and we'll light it up at night, right? This could be a beacon for our city. This is something that will define our skyline. You think we have nothing now? Yeah, people are like, we don't have very tall buildings, but we have this. Our skyline will be recognizable all the time. We'll be the only city that has something like this. Yeah. So let's wrap it. Let's put our star at the top. All right. The next idea is this happy trails idea. We have an amazing bike trail system and park system, right? We have like 128 miles of bike trails and something like the most parks per capita. These are amazing things. Let's keep going. Let's not rest on that. We want to do a thing called Happy Trails where we put messages out there. So let's say that you're training for the marathon. That's a big deal, Lincoln Marathon. Let's say that you're training for that. We want messages and things out there that encourage people to keep going. All right, so maybe it's like a power-up star. Maybe you play Mario Kart or anything like Super Mario, you'll recognize like the star or the extra life mushroom. These are the little things that when you're down and out and you're like on mile 19 of the training and you see that little star, you're like, yeah, power up, okay? And maybe it's funny like a painted on banana peel or something and people are like, I don't know, I think I'm still gonna run around it just in case. So we want to work with the parks, and there's the park system is pretty excited about it. All right, guerrilla gardening is this idea where in the middle of the night you take an area that is downtrodden, that has been left to rot, right? And we radically transform it from something bad to something good, right in the middle of the night. So you leave work and go by it one day, and it's like, it's just another crappy place that we haven't taken care of. And the next morning, it's beautiful, right? It's good. So a group is formed around this guerrilla gardening, right? We want to support them. They're starting to take on all the tasks and places that we have not left, that we've sort of said, whatever. They're going into the communities that need the most hope, the most beautiful, that need some beauty in their life, right? And they're bringing that community a new garden. Maybe you saw this was in the paper a couple weeks ago, where all the downtown sidewalks, all the cracks, right, were filled with flowers. Yeah. It's something as simple like this. It's one flower, it costs like $1. Okay? But something like that, when people are in the morning going to work, their head down, kind of like, it's a work day. They see something like that, and there's this sort of odd beauty. It's sort of like it doesn't make sense, and yet it's so beautiful at the same time. Okay, that's what guerrilla gardening is about. We need some support, right? This group is formed, and they're excited, and so now we need people to sort of support them, and not only just give them locations that help get some money behind them as well. All right, so if you're not familiar with Facebook, they've gone to this thing called Timeline, where people can basically share their life, all right? Well, people are putting photos, these big cover photos of their life, and so it's my friend Cass and their child, and that's something he's very proud of. Well, we want to be able to brand that with their pride of Lincoln and be able to show off that life is right in Lincoln. And so we're going to create an app where people can take their cover photos and brand it up and stylize it with the identity that we've created. It's up to you if you want to do it, but we think it's going to make them look pretty cool, and it'll definitely stand out. All right. The university, of course, has some cool traditions. One of them is this sort of letting go balloons. We've always thought that was pretty cool, and while we don't want to make this, we want a connection to the university. The Lincoln also, as a city, has to stand on its own, but we do think that there's something pretty cool about this. What we want to do is do this idea called 100,000 red balloons, and we might time this when the stadium it's being expanded. When it has 100,000 people that can go in there, maybe we do 100,000 red balloon launch. Yeah. Or maybe we do it around the Wisconsin game, we get a bunch of people together and we let go of these balloons. We want to do 100,000 red balloons. You know what that's going to look like? You ever seen the game day when there's like 5,000 red balloons? Imagine what 100,000 is going to look like. It's going to look awesome. We're going to put that on every news station there is. Yeah. Tied to every single one of those balloons are going to be one of those things that people said why life is right in Lincoln. So we want to write those down, capture that online. We're going to let the world know why life is right in Lincoln. All right, so I think this is this is our last one. So, of course, the airport needs a little work. I don't know if you knew that. Here's the thing: the airport, it is what it is. But we do fly people in there, our clients and employees and potential employees. And I've always been really intrigued by this signage, where it says "Welcome" there, that little digital board. That always really intrigued me, and I thought, what if we did something more with that? What if we were able to put messages there that anyone could do? So let's say the University of Nebraska has a potential student coming in. They could say, hey, we're excited to have you. They could type out a message online, post it at what time they're going to arrive, and it'd be sitting there waiting for them. That would be cool. Imagine you have a potential employee or potential client that's coming in town. Now, you know what? The airport may not be that great, but we do one thing like this, all that goes away. Honestly, all that goes away. To a degree, like this is what they'll remember. This is what they'll take away from the airport, something like this, okay? So we're gonna do this thing called citizen greetings. We wanna create where it'll be filtered, like we'll have everything in there, like nothing bad can get through. Right, we get that. But we wanna be able to give you the access to it where you could create your own messages, fun, witty, serious, whatever you wanna do, and welcome your guests to Lincoln. I think that's a real Lincoln, Nebraska thing to do, is to say hello. Yeah, this is us. This is something we should do. Okay, so with all that then, I want to tell you that all this stuff, I don't know how much we're going to do. We're on top of a lot of it right now, but it's all going to come together here soon. We sort of have this calendar of how many things we want to do throughout the rest of the year. All right, you can kind of start to see how things sort of play out. The sites are going to launch sometime in the next couple quarters, one at a time. You'll see them all come together pretty soon. So I kind of want to end with this quote. It says, I think the door has been kicked open and change is coming. I think the door has been kicked open, change is coming. I got to tell you what, I agree with that. I think right now, that door has been sort of creaking open just a little bit, but something like this, like the energy that's going on right now, the way people are rallying together right now in Lincoln, I think we're going to kick that door wide open. And when we do that, we're going to be ready for it. Yeah, the city's ready. This is our time. So I encourage you today, right? You've seen the things, if you like it, I want you to tell people about it. Yeah. I want you to hear the ideas that are going on. I want you to come up with ideas. What can your business do? What can your company do? What can your family do? Right? This is on you as well. Start taking these things. What can you be a part of? Let's kick that door wide open. Let's kick a rabbit's hinge. And I'll tell you what, we do this. There is no city. I've looked at what every other city has done for branding. There's no city who's done it at this level. There's nobody. We pull this off, it'll be a case study on how to brand a city. I'm excited. I need your help. All right. Thank you very much.